And finally, we get to see the return of Kelvin Gastelum at welterweight. For fans that do not know, Kelvin Gastelum was really, really good at welterweight. He did end up fighting Neil Magny and Tyron Woodley, losing both of those fights by split decisions, and then ended up going up to middleweight. I don't believe he had any other welterweight fights past Neil Magny and Tyron Woodley. I'm pretty sure Woodley was his last. Oh, yeah, Tyron Woodley beat Nate Marquardt, lost to Neil Magny. Johnny Hendricks may have been welterweight. Tim Kennedy, I believe, was at middleweight, because he's middleweight, yes. Johnny Hendricks was that was middleweight. Okay, so, yeah. So, Kelvin Gastelum was really, really good. It's where he made his initial name. I mean, he went, I believe, 12-12? Oh, Jesus Christ. 12-2. 12-2 at welterweight. Now, again, his record is a little salty at this point in his career, but look at everybody that he's fought. Izzy, Darren Till, which the Darren Till one's weird. Not a lot of action, not a lot of fighting. Of course, we all understand that. I blame that a little bit coming back, less than 7 months after the Israel fight. And if you haven't watched that Izzy fight, you need to go and you need to watch it. It's one of the greatest fights of all time. He got dropped, I think, 5 times in that 5th round and just decided not to go anywhere and still just keep getting dropped. That takes a lot out of you. I said after that fight, I don't want to see him fight for a very, very, very long time. Fights Darren Till, loses the split decision. Fights Jack Hermanson. Actually looks pretty good early in that fight. It didn't last very long. Then gets heel hooked. Again, looked smooth. Looked really fast in that fight. Ends up getting caught with a heel hook. Beats Ian Heinisch, but his stand-up didn't look great. His wrestling looked okay, but his stand-up did not look great. Fights Robert Whittaker after the fact. He was supposed to fight him. That fight might have been short notice. I can't remember at this point. No, I think he fought Whittaker on a full camp. It took a short notice fight against Jared Cannonier. Looked great at moments, his movement and his speed, but it was just Cannonier's power that was causing a little bit of an issue of him committing. He did end up getting dropped in that fight, which didn't get put away because that's Kelvin Gastelum for you. Fights Chris Curtis in a much closer fight than people think. It could have went to Chris Curtis's decision, his way, honestly. Personally, I thought it was fine going to either fighter. But Kelvin did accidentally headbutt Chris Curtis, and it dropped Curtis. It should have been some time for Curtis to recover because it did hurt him. It did flash knock him out, and he talks about it. Now, I'm not making excuses or anything like that, but that is the ref's job. If illegal actions happen, accident or not, you're supposed to give the other fighter some time to recover. That is the reality of it. Even at that, they still do, what they do, and they put on a show, and yeah. And Kelvin looked good. He looked fast. His movement looked back, which was really cool to see. And again, people don't know because of this little area right from 2019 to 2021, which is about 2 years of him going 1-5. Again, it's not great. I get that. But people, because of that, they forget what he did before. He was really, really good. And again, he just fought killers. Who's the worst fighter in there? Ian Heinisch. Okay, he beats Ian. Doesn't look great, but still beats him. At the time, Darren Till was 17-2. So, at the time, we thought Darren Till was still that guy. So, he was supposed to fight Shavkat Rakhmonov. Got hurt in training camp. Got cut right here, I believe it was. I think it was a spinning back elbow is what landed on him. Now he's fighting Sean Brady, and I love this matchup. Because Sean Brady, 15-1, 4-1 in his last 5 fights. The one loss, as we know, is against Bilal Muhammad. Finished Sean Brady against the cage with punches, which is weird. Minus 125 favorite, 31 years old, 5'10 with a 72.5-inch reach. Kelvin Gastelum, 18-8, 2-3 in his last 5 fights, 32 years old, 5'9 with a 71.5-inch reach. 1-inch reach advantage for Sean Brady. So, stand-up wise, Sean Brady just does not look great. He looks okay when he's using his jab. He's using his hands to set up the transition to get to the wrestling and all that grappling that he's pretty good at. But he's not a great striker. He is there to be hit. That is the reality of it. Now, again, you go over here and you look at the stats, which, again, we've been doing this the whole time, so we're going to keep doing it. You know, obviously, more fight time for Kelvin Gastelum. That's the reality of it. He's been here a whole lot longer. Fought way more killers. Strikes landed per minute is 4.17 for Brady, 3.6 for Kelvin. Striking accuracy is 53 to 41, but I think a lot of that is Sean Brady just doesn't strike a lot. He grapples a whole lot. Strikes absorbed is a little bit more for Sean Brady, 3.8 to 3.3 for Kelvin. Defense is 62% to 58, but Kelvin is striking a lot. He's getting in a lot of those exchanges. Takedown average is 2.8 to 1 per minute. Average of 15 minutes, which is 1. So he's averaging a takedown. Sean Brady's averaging almost 3 takedowns a fight. Takedown accuracy is 50% for Sean Brady, 30%. Takedown defense is 87 to 62. Not a whole lot of submission attempts. Does have a couple. Sean Brady has finished Jake Matthews. There's a couple on there for sure. Now, again, I like the movement, I like the speed, and I like the combinations for Kelvin. But Kelvin has to be able to stuff these takedowns, and we just don't know how that's going to look. Kelvin does have submissions when he used to be at welterweight. That's the reality. It's two different fighters. Middleweight Kelvin Gastelum is a different guy to the welterweight Kelvin Gastelum that we had known and loved back then when he was undefeated and, like Jake Ellenberger. Didn't look great until he made a wrestling transition and took his back and rear naked choked him. Brian Malkoon, I think his name is, dropped him, rear naked choked him. There's a couple of instances where Kelvin does use his submissions, of course. So the biggest question is, can Kelvin stop the takedowns? Can Kelvin use his movement and his speed to make those takedowns come few and far between? And honestly, I think he can. I think he can make Sean Brady second guess his ability to strike with Kelvin, to enter to find his takedowns. Because if Sean Brady is shooting from halfway across the octagon, he's not going to get Kelvin. He has to set up his takedowns. Now, I am anticipating a very, very good Sean Brady this matchup. But I think Kelvin Gastelum's speed, movement, footwork, punches, combinations is going to be a little bit too much. I like Kelvin Gastelum in this one. As always, subscribe, like, comment. Let me know who you guys are picking. Peace.